This is Rock Entertainment Sports Network. Your teams, your town, your home.
Tried to go all the way and what a play by Allen. Allen got there, made the rejection. He fell into the seat.
Out of his hands out front, Garland, long three. Good! That's the icing on the game one cake. To the other end. Pow! Coast to coast. Holy moly.
Jerome, come on. Wow. Jaw dropping, electrifying, brilliant. Mitchell again. Hey! Knocks it down. Donovan Mitchell was made for moments like these.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to this edition of The Road to 16 right here on the Rock Entertainment Sports Network. John, Michael, and Serena Winters. We are coming to you from the concourse outside of Rocket Arena. We and the Cavaliers are back from Indianapolis. The Cavaliers got a solid win in Game 3. They suffer a lopsided loss in Game 4. They're now down in the series 3-1. Donovan Mitchell did not play the second half in Game 4. We still await word on the severity of his injury and his availability for Game 5. Now Serena having to win 3 straight games. Not a death sentence. 2 of those 3 games would be here at home, but very little room for error the rest of the way.
Yeah, John, I would say there's no room for error the rest of the way, right? I mean, you look at this, one of the biggest challenges is they know they've got to win games 5, 6, and 7 to advance. But mentally, you can't think about 6 and 7. Mentally, you've got to be all in on 5. And look, the biggest thing, John, in talking with these guys is they've got to have a great start to Game 5. You look what happened in Game 4. Their turnovers were such an issue, and it really started from opening tip with the first play being a turnover there. You know, you give up 35 points off turnovers. Those are the mental mistakes that will cost you in the playoffs, and we've seen it. So really no room for error here.
We'll talk more about that as this show progresses. And, of course, that's got to be the mentality. It's just one game right now. Win Game 5, then we'll worry about going back to Indy and taking care of Game 6. But that's the main focus for this Cavalier team right now. When we come back, we're going to hear from Cavs head coach Kenny Atkinson. Kenny talked after Game 4, of course. Darius Garland, Evan Mobley weighed in. We'll have players from the locker room as well as we roll on here on the road to 16. John Michael alongside Serena Winters as we are back here on the road to 16. Game 4 was just last night in Indiana. And, you know, when you look back at Game 3, it was the Cavaliers who put the defensive pressure on the Pacers. In Game 4, the Pacers were able to turn the table. Rick Carlisle, before the game, bemoaned the fact that his team was losing the possession battle. What do they come out and do? They forced 14 Cavalier first-half turnovers. They took 18 more shots than the Cavs did in the first half. And, oh, by the way, went 12 of 18 from three-point range through the first 2 quarters, led by 41 at the break. And that was that.
I mean, one of the things that you saw from jump was really that Indiana sped the Cavaliers up. And you could see that on the offensive end, and you could see that with the turnovers. And, John, I was in those huddles, and one of the common themes over and over and over again was, guys, take a deep breath. Play our game. We are letting Indiana speed us up on the offensive end, get into what's been working all season long. But, John, the Cavs just struggled to find that rhythm.
I think what's frustrating, too, for Kenny Atkinson is that they prepared for that. They knew that Rick Carlisle was going to do exactly that, try to put on the pressure, you know, find ways to deal with the things that bothered Rick's team in game number 3. And here was Kenny after Game 4 talking about not only the ball game, but what the Cavs have to do moving forward the rest of this series.
Left ankle injury. He'll get a MRI tomorrow.
So obviously there's just not much more you can say as far as availability.
I mean, no idea. I mean, you know, obviously he couldn't go in the second half. So see what the MRI says.
And I imagine this would be one of those games where you don't watch much of the film. But what happened in the first half that just got away from
I mean, complete domination by them is really, it's kind of the story, kind of in every facet. It wasn't like, oh, you know, tactics or anything involved. They dominated us in every facet of the game, and that's why we got a 20-point game or really 30-point game.
Kenny, how did Donovan hurt his ankle?
I am not exactly sure.
And then we've talked about force, and that I think is kind of what you're getting at with the first half wasn't there. Why did you think you guys didn't have that tonight?
They dominated with their force. They raised their game to another level, and we didn't match it. We talked about it. We knew it was coming. I don't know. You try to prepare for these things. You try to prepare your guys mentally, but for whatever reason, they like I said, they were at another level. A few guys, got minutes that they normally didn't get to. Ice looked good there. So, hey, listen, we got 2 out of the 3 next games at home. If we're great at home. Got to get the next one, see if we can come back here for game 6.
Talking about Darius for a minute, I guess I was wondering with the score being what it was at half, I thought with the toe, maybe he doesn't play the second half, but you play him and he ends up with 21. So.
Yeah, I asked him. I said, "You tell me." Like we got to think about game 5, and he wanted to get his rhythm, which I completely understand. I think he felt better. I thought he was moving better. So that's a real positive. Hopefully we get Donovan back. Like I said, you go get game 5, and you're back here for game 6.
So there it was, Kenny Atkinson, and you could tell that the singular focus is let's wash this one away, let's take care of business in game 5. It's hard in a game like this, obviously, to find silver linings. He did mention that he talked to Darius Garland about whether Darius wanted to go in the second half. Darius said, yeah, I need to find a rhythm. Remember, Darius missed the first 2 games of this series, the last 2 games of round number 1, and if the Cavs are going to win the next 3, they will need their starting point guard in rhythm.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely looked like that second half he started to find it a little bit. And so, like you said, to have him at a higher strength than he was in the beginning of that game would be huge. But at the end of the day, I mean, you also heard Kenny say there, in that game, it got to a point where it's less about tactics and more just about sheer will, force, physicality, all those things that you want to see. But let me tell you, John, that in the next game, it's going to be about both of those things, because we talk about, not a lot of room for error. You've got to come out, not only throw the first punch, but be locked in on those tactics, those little details. And, we did mention the turnovers. That's something that they just have to clean up here in the next game.
Yeah, and those were the sentiments that both Darius Garland and Evan Mobley addressed when they talked to the media after game 4 as well.
Just didn't have it tonight. Turnovers killed us. Start off with an early one, first possession of the game. I think that's what started that was like a snowball effect. 22 turnovers is not even like us. So we turn people over. So it was pretty different for us being on the opposite side of that. It was pushing us off our spot. They was more aggressive than us. They were being really physical. That's what they said that they was going to do coming into this game. And we had no answer for that in the first half. So when the game started to come along a little bit, it was too late. It was out of reach. So go back and watch the film. Be ready for game 4.
Is this a game that you want to go back and watch the film, or is this a game where you kind of want to forget it happens and move on to game 5?
No, we can go watch it. There was a lot of good stuff that was happening in the game. A lot of stuff that we can carry over with. So, yeah, definitely go watch it. I mean, it's a playoff matchup. Film doesn't hurt at all. Film never hurt anyone. It just shows everything, right, wrong. So you should definitely go watch it, especially where we turned the ball over and we was just getting pushed out of our spots. We got to be a lot more physical. We got to set the tone, and if they hit first, we got to hit back.
And now Donovan missed the second half. What is your concern level for him for game 5, and just were you able to talk to him before you guys came to see us?
Yeah, we talked to him a little bit, but right now we just got to focus on us and focus on who we have. Hopefully he's good, and we'll be good for game 5, but if not, it's going to have to be whoever the next man up is, and we're going to have to step up. And the main thing right now is just focusing on the next game, watching the film, getting better, seeing what we need to change, and going from there. You try and throw the first punch. Next game's going to be at home. 2 out of 3 games are going to be at home. So it's going to be a little bit different. I feel like the crowd played a pretty big role in some of their energy, but we got to do a better job of just responding when they do throw a punch.
We've been through adversity plenty of times. Just not even this year. This group been together for a couple of years now, so been through a lot of adversity the last 3 years together, with all of us just together. So this franchise done it before, so we've seen it done before. This group is always competing at a high level. It doesn't matter what circumstance it is, if we're losing, if we're winning. So go out there with a chip on our shoulder and a lot of desperation. And that's what we have to do. We got to keep that in our mind and see where that goes. I want to be there for my teammates. I don't care if we're down 40 or up 40. I want to play basketball. Then just to get my rhythm back a little bit, get back playing with the guys, and then just filling them out a little bit as well. It's my second game back, especially in this series. So seeing what they're doing on the defensive end, seeing what they're doing on the offensive end, and actually being out there and participating instead of watching from the sideline. I want to go out there and play in the second half.
Did you feel like you found your rhythm?
A little bit. Still battling through some stuff, but I'm gonna get through it. That's why we're so deep. Our depth is gonna take over, and we're gonna be good.
What do you say to Ty going into Game 5, considering the struggles that he's had throughout the course of this series?
Just keep your confidence. I mean, he's been confident all year. I don't doubt that he's going to lose his confidence. You keep doing what he does, taking the shots that he does. It helps us a lot. So just keeping his confidence as high as possible, giving him praise, and let him know that, I mean, he's been doing it all year. These few games don't define him. So we're going to need him, and just keep his confidence.
And then, Evan, what do you think they did better against your zone tonight?
They were more prepared. They got to the middle, and then from there, it was tough. But I think we can do a little bit better job of deterring them from getting in the middle, and from there, a little bit better on our rotations around the zone.
Just keep being aggressive. Keep playing our brand of basketball. Play with the physicality that we started with. Came out with last game. Go watch this film, see what we can do better. See what we can do with the zone. And, play our brand of basketball. Like I said, this franchise has been down 3-1 before. This group can do it. We got the talent, we got the skill set. The camaraderie is always there. Just got to just go out there and play with our physicality that we play with, and play our brand of basketball.
Don's talked all year about this team's mental toughness. Would you say that this is the greatest test of that mental toughness going back home?
1,000%, for sure.
You know, Serena, you'd have to think for Darius Garland and this Cavalier team, one of the most frustrating parts of Game 4 is that they have been just so good with ball security this whole season. They've been good this whole series as well. And Darius mentioned it, the Cavs cough it up on the first possession. They were not particularly careful with that ball early. Indy came in with that defensive pressure and did exactly what they wanted to do in the first few minutes of the game.
I think that goes back to the point of Indiana speeding them up, right? And that just kind of got them off their game mentally. But, John, you think about who this Cavaliers team has been all season. And they've been one of the best three-point shooting teams in the league. They've had one of the best benches in the league. You mentioned the ball security. These are things that the Cavaliers got to these 64 wins in the regular season because they were consistent at all of those areas all season long. it's almost like you're waiting. You're waiting in that next game for all of those categories that they've been so strong in all season long to return, but unfortunately it just abandoned them. But at the end of the day, John, the Cavs do need more production from their bench in order to win out this series.
Yeah, and it'll just like you said, that's how you are on top of the Eastern Conference all season long. That's how you keep those starter minutes down. Again, the formula worked this season for the Cavs. Unfortunately, bumpy in terms of the health coming in here to this series. And again, that in terms of, you look at Ty in particular, he had to start game 2. He played more minutes. Again, the rhythm was thrown off early in the first 2 games here in this building. And the Cavs now, like we mentioned, they have very little time to recoup, and they have very little room for error the rest of the way. Let's get in here. Let's win game 5 tomorrow, and we'll go from there.
And you got to remember that Indiana has a pretty deep bench themselves. And with the pace that they play at, that's one of the reasons why Rick Carlisle relies on his guys. So you have to have that production both on the offensive and defensive end. And if you're going to have those mental lapses on the offensive end, then you got to make sure you're strong on defense. But you also make a great point that we are seeing guys off the bench in some of these games that have been in different scenarios and finding different rhythms. And it just has been a struggle to get them going.
We are going to hear from 2 of those reserves as Ty Jerome and Isaac Okoro had a few things to say in the locker room after game 4. That's straight ahead right here on the Rock Entertainment Sports Network. Back on the road to 16, John Michael and Serena Winters. We're here inside Rocket Arena. Tomorrow night, game 5 as the second round series rolls along. Serena, as anticipated, a somber Cavs locker room after game 4, but you got an authentic sense that there's a belief that this thing is far from over. The Cavs, all they have to do now, let's get home, let's win game 5, and we'll go from there.
As you can imagine, John, themes were similar throughout. It was didn't get off to the start that they needed, that carried over throughout the game, and they have to have more physicality heading into game 5, match that intensity, and to be quite frank, not even match it, but be the ones to raise that level. We talked about the bench earlier. We caught up with Ty Jerome and Isaac Okoro.
They just came out with more energy. They won the rebounding battle. Obviously, the turnovers were an issue in the first half. Yeah.
What's it look like just changing that for game 5 when you guys head back to Cleveland?
We've been winning that battle all series. The rebounding battle, the turnovers, we've been winning that battle all series. So just kind of get back to that. Take it one game at a time.
What aspects of the game plan, if you're just to name, I don't know, the biggest one that you feel like maybe weren't executed that you want to execute in game 5?
Yeah, I would say that the possession game, which is turnovers and rebounding. Those are probably the biggest things. Obviously, shots didn't fall in that first half, but can't get out-rebounded like that and can't turn the ball over like that.
Knowing that you have an uphill battle here to climb, got to win 3 straight, what is the balance, though, of can't think about that, got to think about just the next game?
Like you said, thinking about the next game is it's game 5 on Tuesday, and, go from there.
What is the team's mindset on that when you're hitting the road, coming back to Cleveland and needing a win? What's the team's mindset?
Basically what I just said, take it one game at a time. We're a resilient group. We've been resilient all year. We're a confident group. And we take it one game at a time from here.
What did you think of just offensive execution? Did it feel like you guys had the continuity that you normally have?
No, I think we sped up today. From the beginning, we were a little sped up today. Everybody, I don't think anybody was able to play at our own pace, and we let them speed us up. I think we let the crowd get involved early, and we'll fix it.
Offensively, you guys were the highest scoring team in the NBA, and this kind of encapsulates that the shots just haven't been falling. How frustrating is that for a team that relies on the 3 and the jump shots, that there just seems to be a lid on the basket right now?
Yeah, I think it's part of basketball. That could turn at any point, but we still got to hang our hats on, the rebounding, the taking care of the ball, the getting those good looks. We got to do a better job of that, and just trust that they'll fall.
We just weren't physical from the beginning. They beat us in every tough stat that you could think of. They were just out hustling us from the start of the game, out rebounding us. And yeah, that was just the main point of the game.
What does it look like just changing that for Game 5?
Just gotta come out for the better start. Come out hit first. They hit us first this game, so we gotta come back. You know, we have our fans behind us. Just hit back and, you know, start off good.
Offensively, did it feel like you guys kind of like that continuity that you've usually had?
I mean, I feel like we were getting good shots. Shots just weren't falling. We were moving the ball, getting open shots, getting great ball movement, getting to the basket, getting the type of shots we've been making throughout the playoffs. So just shots just weren't going in today. So, I mean, we can't rely on our offense, got to rely on our defense. You know, defense is what wins championships, wins games. So, like I said, we just got to start off great defensively.
What do you think you need to do before Game 5 gets here to bounce back from this loss?
Just recover, watch the film on this game. As a team, you know, just sit down and see what we got to do better and get on the court and, you know, just execute it.
I know it's tough right now, but what's the mindset as you guys hit the road, come back to Cleveland for that Game 5?
Get a win. I mean, that's it for us. That's the game plan for every game going on now, just get a win.
We'll be back to wrap things up on the road to 16 right after this. We're back to close up shop on the road to 16 right here at Rocket Arena. Game 5 tomorrow night. Tip time a little bit after 7 o'clock. We'll be here on the pregame show, which gets you started at 6:30.
Yeah, and at that point, John, we'll know the status of Donovan Mitchell, which is obviously what is on everybody's minds. Cavaliers definitely going to need him.
All right, let's get it done tomorrow night. Cavs, Pacers, Game 5 in this building. That'll do it for us right here on the road to 16.